Soldiers, sailors, airmen, and women enlist in the armed forces for many reasons, including a sense of duty, patriotism, the adventure, travel, and adrenaline. When service members are injured or wounded and can no longer perform their military duties, they quickly find themselves removed from their team, no longer serving the purpose for which they trained.
I came back from Afghanistan in 2013, and it was kind of a trial and error of finding out, after the military, what's next in life.
Motorsports offers an opportunity to regain that sense of identity within a safe, fast-paced team environment, providing a renewed sense of purpose. Like in the military, in motorsports, the goal is in accomplishing the mission, winning as a team, collectively celebrating the successes and supporting teammates through the losses. Operation Motorsport also offers virtual engagements and recovery opportunities through an iRacing league, engaging beneficiaries in a safe, competitive environment from the comfort and safety of their home. Operation Motorsport believes in the power of team, identity, and purpose.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Podium Esports coverage of the 8th round of the 7th season of Operation eMotorsport League, live from iRacing's virtual Daytona Beach, Florida, and the hallowed ground of Daytona International Speedway. Under the lights here tonight, I am your host, Rachel Whiteford, joined by my colleague in the booth, Robert Hill. Our producer this evening is DJ Lion, and DJ is using cameras created by the great Dougie Beard. Well, folks, we're glad to have you with us again for this 8th and final round here of Operation eMotorsport. Don't forget, there's a structured virtual racing series that brings together beneficiaries, veterans, military members, race car drivers and crew members, and other supporters of the Foundation to compete in a friendly virtual sports car series. Operation Motorsport is a veteran-led and operated not-for-profit based in Raleigh, North Carolina and Brighton, Ontario. They serve American and Canadian service members and veterans, and its programs are based on 3 core values: team, identity, and purpose. Operation Motorsport supports the recovery of medically retired or retiring service members affected by military service through motorsport opportunities. Their motto is one at a time. Well, Robert, we're here at Daytona. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the American home of motorsport?
Yes, we are here at the World Center of Racing Daytona International Speedway. Tonight, we're going to be on the 3.5-mile, 12-turn road course that goes through the infield and some of the NASCAR racetrack here today. Some of the banking we're going to deal with this afternoon: 31 degrees in the NASCAR turn, 18 degrees in the tri-oval, 2 degrees on the back straightaway, and through the infield, virtually flat at 0 degrees of banking tonight. And these drivers are going to have to work their way through the twists and turns of the infield. That backstretch chicane is going to offer some challenges as well, and we should see lots of great side-by-side action all night long.
We certainly should, of course, and don't forget that bus stop is iconic. It has caused many a moment in both NASCAR's road course racing and many, many years of sports car racing. Of course, this is the home of the Rolex 24, one of the biggest days in, or 24 hours, I should say, in motorsports. As we've got the class guides up here now, you can see exactly who's running tonight in the race. We have, of course, 2 sports car categories. We have the Liger LMP3s and the GT3 cars. Now, the pros and pro beneficiaries are, of course, either real-world license holders or iRacers with a rating over 1900 on their road license. The beneficiaries in the open, and we'll cover the pro-ben part of that in a second, are both the beneficiaries, of course, are people being enrolled in Operation Motorsport's programs, being helped by the Foundation, and that is, of course, applying to Pro-Ben as well. They're just really fast as well as it. Open are active duty military and also supporters of Operation Motorsport in other regards. So, of course, everybody gets to be involved in this one. Now, of course, we do split them into 4 classes in terms of the wins, technically. However, let's be honest, we're all out here to see how well the beneficiaries of Operation Motorsport do and to support them. And pros and pro-bens in the Ligers, Robert, and the beneficiaries in the open guys in GT3. they're all vying just to win their individual class, regardless of which category they're in.
That's absolutely it. Everyone here chasing victory tonight. And, you know, some of those drivers that you might think, yeah, they're out here as the beneficiaries. They might not be as tough as these pros. Some of them are even quicker than those license holding drivers that you see out there. These drivers take this absolutely seriously while also having a good time. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot of action out of just about everyone here tonight, as of course this is the final round of this season, so everyone going for an opportunity to win. And Rachel, look at that trophy that's up for grabs for the season as well.
Absolutely beautiful trophy there, created for Operation eMotorsport's 7th season there. Love that. Absolutely gorgeous. And we'll be handing it out to the top finishing beneficiary in this year's event. Well, right now, qualifying still underway. We've got a couple of minutes left. But Daytona at night, it's a trickier format than it is at the daytime. But this track still blends the double-edged sword here, really, Robert, of the oval portion and the infield.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And the transition from the road course onto the oval and vice versa from the oval into the road course is definitely challenging for these drivers. You're going to see them make basically a U-turn in this upcoming corner here as they head towards the NASCAR oval. And this is an opportunity for that car to step out and potentially get loose on you here. As we do ride on board with Dave Bell, he's able to make that transition rather easily. But when it comes to the quicker cars coming around you at this point in time, that can be a little tricky for these drivers to navigate. And again, you're going to see it into turn number 1 as we head from the NASCAR oval into the road course, a very, very quick corner that you have to slow up for rather quickly in order to get down to proper pace and make it through that corner, which can offer a big challenge for these drivers, including some of the absolute best that race here each and every year.
Absolutely does, of course, and got some great drivers out in tonight's race. Big showing for the beneficiaries in the open class in our GT3 field, and we're going to have to see, of course, if Matt Smotherman makes it. He has made it on track, I should say, for his qualifying. He was doing updates for practice, so Windows and Bill Gates nearly kind of caught him unawares, but he is out to try and run this one. But Martin Wallace right now, outstripping him in qualifying. He's the first and only one to break into the 42s.
Yeah, very quick pace out of the Martin Wallace machine here tonight. We'll see how that translates to the race, because you may have the single car speed, but when it does come to race conditions, gets a little bit tougher when you have somebody breathing down your neck throughout the corners and into some of the tougher portions of the racetrack. But Martin Wallace, definitely a strong start to the evening, as it looks like qualifying just about wrapped up here.
It does. We've got 2 minutes left on the clock here, though, whilst people wrap up those ongoing laps. But let's see what they do. Of course, we'll keep our eye on Tyler Guillemette throughout this one. He's one of the challengers for Matt Smotherman's title, but he's also a beneficiary spotlight today, so we'll be seeing more from him as he enters the banking. Now, this will be an important one, Robert. Transitioning onto that banking can upset the car.
Absolutely. When you enter from the infield to that NASCAR oval up the banking, your car does tend to bottom out a little bit, and if you don't hit it at the right angle, that could really upset the car, send you for a spin, and end up ruining what could potentially be a great lap or a great run for these drivers. And you see right here as well that backstretch chicane, also known as the bus stop, of course, another very challenging part of the racetrack, and these drivers going to have to navigate that absolutely perfectly. Otherwise, they could end up in that tire barrier off on the left side, and I've done that quite a few times myself.
Less a case of could, more a case of would. The tire barrier is no stranger to race cars. Connor Parisi putting a time on the board. And look at the times dropping here. Parisi into 42.4s, Wallace a 42.6, Guillemette into a 42.8, Smotherman into a 42.8 as well. They've all just plummeted down there in terms of times as these last laps are going in.
Yeah, Connor Parisi putting in a great lap time there, a 142.42 compared to Wallace's 142.65. So a lot of good pace out of this, the machine driven by Connor Parisi as we ride on board now. Again, you just see the view that they have out of the cockpit of these vehicles. A little bit of a smaller field of view for these drivers could get a little bit challenging if you're side by side heading into the bus stop here as Parise gets set to enter that bus stop. Very deep drive in and navigates it absolutely perfectly.
Yes, they did. And getting it through there, of course, is going to be the trickiest part for this lap. And keeping the speed so you can run through 3 and 4 there, getting back down towards the start-finish line. And yeah, getting them going again. Last minutes now on the board. The clock will be running out. We'll get our starting order for tonight's race in just a second. And looking at what we get here on the board, we'll see those times come up now. We'll run you through our starting grid for tonight's race. Connor Parisi with a 142.418 takes the pole in tonight's race for the GT Pro Field. Martin Wallace is in second, with Tyler Gimlet, our first pro beneficiary, in third. Matt Smotherman in fourth place. And there's Rodney Campbell for the pros, with Greg Meismer, Hunter Reeves, Scott Andrews for the pro Benz, and Gabriel Albano not qualifying for the Ligers. Our GT field will start out with Thomas Hudson for the Open, with Skyler Vickroy in second. Those two have been duking back and forth all season. Jeremy Story, our lead beneficiary, with Tanner Masters and Pete McDade. Last week's beneficiary spotlight. Tyler Reed and Matt Ayotte for the Open, with Andrew Reeve there as well. We have Joshua O'Connor for the beneficiary, with John Hicks. We have Rick Aslett for the Open, Dave Bell, Brian Knight, and Elliot Whitfield for your beneficiaries. And we're out here on the backstretch just before the bus stop. Robert, what are your predictions?
I'm predicting that this is going to be a great race here tonight. We're going to have to watch for chaos entering turn number 1 on the first few laps, and maybe any opportunity once these drivers do get re-racked and restacked after pit stops through the event. Turn 1 definitely going to be full of chaos as everyone jockeying for early positions here tonight and looking for an opportunity to get as close to the front as they possibly can.
They certainly do, and we'll get ourselves running here, but it's going to be tricky as we see time go forwards, and we'll see what this one plays into. But right now, there's an hour on the clock tonight. We're going for a whole hour, not half an hour like usual, an hour. And the fuel has been raised, so our strategies are out the window. We don't know what's going to happen when. The fuel limit's 80% rather than the 30 it normally is, meaning they'll have to stop at least once during this cycle. When? We don't know. But at some point, most likely within the middle 20 minutes is what we're guessing based on this. But we're going for double the time as usual. The big finale with a big clock and a big award for whoever wins first for the beneficiaries.
Yeah, absolutely. These drivers going a little bit longer, actually double time, like you mentioned. And this is going to be a good opportunity for any drivers in the field that are taking part in the iRacing Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona coming up in, well, just about a month now. So great seat time opportunity tonight, and I'm sure we're going to see quite a few drivers taking advantage of this time, making some notes for that race. And tonight, everyone racing for the win, one final attempt at it in this season. It's been a great season, but it'll be even better if you can cap it off with a victory.
Certainly will be. And where we get going tonight, have we got Guillemette and everybody else running? We have all of the cars we're expecting to see in tonight's one running through the final corner here. Getting ready for this rundown. The pace car will drop off onto pit road, and we'll see them take the flag here at the Tri-Oval at Daytona. 1 hour of racing will start for these sports cars very, very shortly.
We're going to be looking for a strong start by these drivers. You want to get ahead as you head into turn number 1, but you're also going to be watching out of your rear view mirrors. The pace car's off, Rachel. We're getting set to go.
We certainly are here, and Field and Commander Parisi and Wallace as they'll go now, starting through the Tri-Oval. A good start too.
As the GT3s get their start as well.
Yeah, the GT cars getting themselves down into turn 1, but a big dive through to the first corner. Tightening into turn 2. The field filtering themselves through here, running down into this infield section, and we'll see the GT cars getting through nice and cleanly. No issues so far, Robert.
No issues so far. Connor Parisi got out to the early lead. Already side by side, Wallace and Smotherman battling it out for position number 3. Wallace going to clear ahead of Smotherman here in the early stages. Now Rodney Campbell going to get under pressure behind Matt Smotherman, trying to work his way forward as Meismer gets into the side of, I believe that was Campbell. Campbell goes for a bit of a sideways slide, gathers it up, but now he's going to find himself in the company of the GT3 cars. So already the field getting mixed up with an early incident there for Rodney Campbell.
Yeah, not going to be ideal for Campbell. Hopefully get himself running again. And this one he is actually out on track, still going. He's strong right now. No major damage on that car, so should be just fine. Connor Parisi's lead, though, is pretty strong so far. An early head start for him ahead of Wallace in second place. Which, you know, Wallace has dropped right down. It's going to be Guillemette up in second there for the Pro Bands. Looking to take this lead. Of course, finishing high will be a big benefit for him versus the powerhouse of Matt Smotherman, who is still coming on strong in fourth.
Yeah, Smotherman didn't have the luxury of getting as much practice in tonight as he might have liked. I'm sure he probably got a bit of practice in before this race week got underway, but Smotherman chasing down Martin Wallace here, trying to get that third spot early on, set his sights on Tyler Guillemette and Connor Parisi. As Wallace comes up to set himself up for turn number 1, Smotherman going to try to take a dive to the outside, not able to get there quite yet. You're going to have an opportunity through the infield road course section to really charge these corners a little bit further, as we do have problems for Scott Andrews. He finds himself off in the grass here, Rachel, early on.
Darted off there at the turn-in, trying to work out what happened for him. He was ahead of the cars. I think he was locked up, went straight there, and yeah, I think he went straight away. He lost his screen or something. Visual issues for him, I'm not sure.
Yeah, turn number 1, very easy to have an issue as Andrews. Very interesting turn of events there. The car seemed like it just shot off to the right, went straight for the wall, did a nice job of avoiding it here. You see him give the steering wheel a little bit of a twitch, so potentially some technical issues there for Scott Andrews with that early incident.
Certainly is there. Parisi's run still strong at the moment. Guillemette's closed in. The gap's, well, just under 0.2 of a second last time by the line. And it looks to be slightly close this time with the drafting from the back straight. This will be a dangerous position for Parisi to be in. But we're going to see him going here because Wallace in third, being chased down by Smotherman. Meismer, a reasonable gap behind that grouping, but not too far away. Along with Hunter Reeve there. Rodney Campbell and Scott Andrews both had issues there. Hudson leading the GT pack with Vic Roy there. Story, who is in the lead for the beneficiaries, but just behind that group of cars. So we'll see where he goes. But he's actually ahead of Vic Roy right now and behind Hudson. So working his way forward.
Yeah, these drivers trying to work their way forward early on. We did have a swap for position number 3 as Smotherman gets ahead of Wallace. Rodney Campbell taking a pit road here early on. Potentially some damage from the early incident, causing that car to feel a little unsettled out there on the racetrack. He's going to bring it to the attention of his pit crew, see what they can do to get the car fixed up, get him back there on the racetrack. Just a quick stop on pit road. Now he finds himself coming back out, so look for a recovery run here by Rodney Campbell as we see a tight battle here in the GT3s, nearly pushing each other off the racetrack as we ride on board with third place Skylar Vickroy.
So they do Vic Roy pushing hard here, trying to keep himself involved in this one, having to deal with the fact he's got a very hungry Story ahead of him, and behind them it's going to be Masters who wants to get involved in this as well. So Tanner Masters from the beneficiaries really wants to get past Vic Roy there. Sandwich your beneficiaries.
Yeah, Tanner Masters had a very strong run a couple weeks ago when I was here at Sebring. Saw him find himself on the podium, looking for another strong run here tonight. Currently back there in position number 4, was all over the rear end of Skylar Vickroy not too long ago, so likely setting himself up here for an opportunity to get closer to Vickroy and make that pass. Still a long way to go in this one, though. Just over 5 minutes into the event, Tyler Guillemette takes over the race lead on Connor Parisi, leads by about 0.2 of a second, but Parisi looks like he's closing the gap back up. We're about to have a battle once again for the overall race lead. Tyler Guillemette, Connor Parisi up front.
They are side by side right now for your GT lead, or GT second and third, I should say, with Viceroy here and Story across the start finish line. Of course, just ahead of them is the car of Hudson, but these two side by side into the first corner, and through will hold Jeremy Story, maintaining that spot. But here comes Viceroy again to try and tease his way through. Can he find that opening? Will he cross over here in 3?
Yeah, Viceroy trying to make that pass, not quite able to get there though. That's going to be quite the battle that might go on here for another few laps. Viceroy all over the rear end of Story, as here comes Viceroy once again taking a dive to the outside of Story, not able to get there once again.
Very much so, and here we come through 8 onto the NASCAR layout again. An opportunity for Viceroy to try and put some speed in here as well for Masters and McDade, who's joining this group now. With the fighting they're doing, he's definitely closing up, but the draft not quite strong back there. Replay coming up for Rick Haslett's issues. Can you talk about this one, Robert?
Yeah, riding on board here with Rick Haslett as he exits pit road. We'll see what happens with him. Looks like he finds the gear, tries to get up to speed. See what happens. Maybe the car just shoots sideways on him. Not sure. We'll take another look, see what happened to him, but so far looks like he's okay. He had a great exit from pit road and is going to continue on with his run here tonight.
Definitely keeping it going here, as we'll see. Story's got a reasonable gap now. Viceroy and Masters pretty close to each other. Diving into one again. A little bit congested last time, but this time by, they'll keep it clean. We're seeing on board here one of the lighters.
I believe riding on board with Smotherman, yeah.
Yeah, third place. And it's really tight here because look who's in front. Guillemet's out front. Parisi in second. Smotherman in third. Trio, the really hardcore riders here, and doing a fantastic job. Riders, I'm still thinking mountain biking drivers.
While they're riding their way around this Daytona International Speedway road course, Matt Smotherman, again, late to the party here tonight, but not showing any signs of a lack of practice or lack of data coming into this race. Running a very strong early portion of this event, almost 10 minutes in. Smotherman currently in position number 3, about 0.7 of a second back from our race leader, Tyler Guillemet. All over the rear end, though, of Connor Parisi, as Parisi closing that gap on Guillemet, the race leader. 3 cars under a extended blanket here early on, about a second separating the top 3 as we continue this battle. Going back to the GT3s, riding on board with second place Jeremy Story. You see Skylar Viceroy behind him. Viceroy trying to close that gap. Deep run through the bus stop here. Watch for Viceroy to close that gap as we work our way into NASCAR turn number 3.
Yeah, we certainly do. And coming through 3 and 4 now, we'll see a big jump up here by Viceroy trying to get close. He's going to be maybe looking at an option to move here across the line. Goes to the outside of Story, and I'll have the outside a big push with the air cross the start finish line here, diving down into 1. Will this outside line help for him? Is he going to close a bit tight? But the inside will work best for Story. Holds it, and it has to check up there for Viceroy. Not going to be enough.
And what that has done is allow Masters and McDade to close the gap as well. We now have 2nd through 5th all together here in the GT3 class. You see Peter McDade just behind Tanner Masters there, taking a look to the outside, not able to get there quite yet, as we do ride on board with Pete McDade here, following the 72 of Tanner Masters. Masters trying to get by Skylar Viceroy, as Viceroy trying to get by Story. So all these drivers jockeying for position here as we get set to make that final turn towards the NASCAR oval once again. Watch for the draft to come into play here as these drivers set themselves up eventually for that bus stop and potentially a deep dive in to make that pass and try to clear their competitors and work their way forward, as Utzon has absolutely pulled away from these drivers in GT3. 5 seconds is the gap for the GT leader of Thomas Utzon. 5 seconds over Jeremy Story as he works his way through the bus stop. They're just getting onto the NASCAR oval.
Certainly is. And a move there from the rear by Masters and McDade getting involved here. McDade moves on Masters. Saw that coming out the bus stop there. Towards the sharp end. Guillemet's holding still on Smotherman, who's up in second now. Got past Parisi. Moving up to second place. Now we have a title fight between Guillemet and Smotherman there. Back in your GT field. Vicroy's Story neck and neck here. Heading towards the bus stop. Move by Vicroy again into the tri-oval.
Side by side through the tri-oval. We'll see who wins out. Very close once again, nearly making contact 2 laps in a row, with Jeremy Story with the advantage over Skylar Vicroy. Looks like it got a little close for Vicroy there to that inside wall as he tries to close the gap. You see the battle behind them as well. Tanner Masters, Pete McDade. Masters currently holding on to position number 4. McDade setting up for a run to the inside of the Tanner Masters machine. Not quite able to get there just yet, as McDade looking for every opportunity to jump up into position number 4. Up towards the front, though, it is Tyler Guillemette leading by 1.3 seconds over Matt Smotherman. Another second back to Connor Parisi. So Smotherman's pulled away from Parisi after making that pass, and now Martin Wallace looking like he's closing the gap on Parisi as well, about 1.5 seconds separating those two. As we ride on board here with Tyler Guillemette, you can just see him pulling away now from Matt Smotherman. That's exactly what he wants to do. Of course, Smotherman, one of the strongest competitors in this field, and definitely a contender in this race.
Rather always the expected contender, and surprising when he doesn't, as we see continue battling here with Story and Vicroy. Story now the man in second place.
Yeah, Vicroy does take second over Jeremy Story. This is the first time they've been able to actually make that pass, as Vicroy gonna have the advantage here. We'll see if Jeremy Story does take to the outside once again, and maybe we'll be side by side into turn number 1 for a 3rd lap in a row. Story actually taking a look to the inside, nearly contact there. I believe they did make some slight contact. As Story gonna get to the inside, Vicroy goes way wide, loses second, loses third, loses fourth as well, and actually falls all the way back to 5th as Masters and McDade come through. Early drama here for Skylar Vicroy. Now has extra work to do to get back to the podium here in the GT3 class.
Certainly is doing a very, very hectic race we've seen tonight. We've barely had a chance to look at our prototype field in this one because it's just so out there compared to what we normally see. Lots of action happening tonight, and a lot of it is admittedly draft passing, but it's a Daytona. It's going to happen. Guillemette, Smotherman, Parisi separated out, Wallace back as well, and as is Meismer, Hunter Reeve, and Campbell and Andrews down the order after repairs to their cars. But our real battle has been this GT3 second, third, fourth battle, as it's still going.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the battle's going to go anywhere here. Story, Masters, McDade, Vicroy all together here. And after that little bit of a shuffle in turn number 1, Tyler Reed's been able to close the gap to about 2 seconds behind Skylar Vicroy as well. Still not quite in that picture, but trying to work his way back as we ride on board here with Rodney Campbell on board, one of the prototypes, trying to get by the 3rd place GT car of Tanner Masters. You're going to see this throughout the event now. The quicker cars of the prototypes trying to cycle through the GTs, and that is where you might see some issues throughout the event. You see Tanner Masters trying to draft with the Rodney Campbell machine. Is Campbell going to come up to the rear end of Jeremy Story, go to his outside? They're going to be side by side into turn number 1. It doesn't look like Story's going to just let him go here, as he's in a battle of his own with Tanner Masters, of course.
Certainly is there, as Tanner Masters working very hard at the moment in this 3-way fight, or 2-way fight with the prototype car slightly between them there. 72 involved as well. That's of course Masters we mentioned, and ahead of him. Actually, is it ahead of him? I'm trying to work out who's in what position right now, because this has just gotten jumbled up with these cars getting in there. Pete McDade, I do apologise. As Elijah's battle for the lead here. That is going to be Smotherman finally catching Guillemette here. Will we see an opportunity for a draft pass?
Yeah, a little bit of lap traffic ahead of them here. This could be an opportunity for Matt Smotherman to take that draft and make the move. Looks like it's actually going to be Guillemette that wins out on this one, as Smotherman getting caught up on the high side here. We'll see what Smotherman can do down into turn number 1 here momentarily, but he's just kind of stuck on the outside of that GT machine, as Guillemette loving every moment of this. Tyler Guillemette continues to lead half a second over Matt Smotherman. Great run into turn number 1 there by Smotherman, as you see Connor Parisi going by the GT traffic as well, and he's pulling Martin Wallace with him. The top 4 pretty much all together now at this point, just separated by about 2 seconds, a quarter of the way through this race, 15 minutes in, actually 16 now, with 43 and a half or so to go.
Quarter of the way through this race, coming up on a third in, and wow, yeah, this is not slowed down. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll get a chance to chat to Tyler Reed once things are calmed down for him. He's not quite in a battle yet, but he is closing in on Pete McDade, so we'll not bother him just yet. We want to give him a chance to race, of course, but if he gets into somewhere quiet, we'll have a chat with Tyler if we can about what Operation Motorsport are doing this season and what they've got coming up next season. But as it goes, Guillemette still holds off Smotherman here, Robert. Is this the lap?
Yeah, I definitely think this will be the lap here, as Guillemette leads just barely over Matt Smotherman here. They're going to go through the bus stop, likely stay single file here, but Smotherman going to get this opportunity to get that draft. Guillemette did a fantastic job getting through the bus stop there. Actually extends his lead by about 0.4 of a second on exit of the bus stop, but Smotherman, if he can grab that draft, he might set himself up perfectly here for a dive into turn number 1 to work his way around the Tyler Guillemette machine as we ride on board here with Matt Smotherman in the 23. He's doing a nice job, about a half a second back. Don't know if he's quite close enough to make that lunge into turn number 1, but he's going to sure as heck go for it as he dives down, closes that gap on Guillemette. Guillemette going to win out of turn number 1 though, but it's going to get very close through the infield road course.
Certainly is there, so right neck and neck. Coming through the infield now, and behind them you'll see Wallace up in 3rd. Parisi in 4th there, with Meismer close behind in 5th. So top 5 really close to each other right now in this one, but I have to say, much closer than we thought.
Yeah, I definitely expected the top 2, maybe the top 3 to pull away from the rest of the field. Almost 20 minutes into the event, and they're really only separated by about 3.5 seconds, which is not very much. As we see one go around, I believe that was Martin Wallace. Actually, no, that Greg Meismer goes around in the 75 machine. As soon as we talk about him being close, he decides to change it up and goes around. He's going to have some work to do now. Went from 3.5 seconds back to 12.5 as we watch the podium replay machine to see what happened to him as he was closing the gap there on Connor Parisi and Martin Wallace.
He absolutely was. Just spins across the infield there. A little bit of grass, and it took him for a ride, unfortunately. Like an airboat in Gatorland.
That's
Florida, right?
Absolutely. It's full of gators down there, but it's pretty crazy what a small blade of grass can do to these big, heavy race cars. Just send them around like absolutely nothing. And Greg Meismer, he's not going to be wanting to mow his grass anytime soon, as he's going to have some beef with that grass.
We're jumping out in cattle country, otherwise that beef and the grass would definitely be involved. But Smotherman and Tyler Guillemette still duking out here for 1st and 2nd. Behind them, Wallace and Parisi doing exactly the same thing. Story and Masters, have they changed this one? Well, Utson's leading the way as he has for a while here. A whole 10 seconds clear of Story. But Story and Masters, beneficiary next to each other here. As I'm trying to work out what order this is going in now, but I'm pretty sure Vic Roy has gotten past by a good margin, as has Reed. Although, no, Reed's behind them. I'm trying to work this one out. But Story is further back now, running there with Tyler Masters. He's not. I'm confused with Pete McDade. Everyone's out of order, suddenly.
Utson leads, Vic Roy 2nd, Masters there in 3rd. Story in 4th as McDade tries to take that dive in and make that pass. Not able to do it quite yet. Tyler Reed joining that fight as well for the first time tonight in the 47 machine. So we have 2nd through about 6th altogether. at this point on the racetrack in the GT3 class, and up front in LMP, it is Smotherman trying to close the gap once again on Tyler Guillemette, separated by about half a second. So Tyler Guillemette doing about everything he can at this point just to gain ground in every possible corner, stay ahead of Smotherman. But eventually I do believe that Smotherman will get there, make the pass, and he'll have to fight off a very, very quick Tyler Guillemette here tonight, who's done everything he's needed to do in the early portion of the race. And we can't forget pit stops are going to be coming up at some point in the event, as well, as we are approaching the halfway point, about 9 minutes to halfway right now. These drivers are going to be looking for some fuel on board those cars, but not quite sure when they're going to come down.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're in the window right now here, with this being about 40 minutes to go. The window should be open for about the next 20 minutes. I suspect we'll see them in about 20 minutes time, coming in for as late as possible. We'll have to see. This is a much longer race that we'll have to see. Strategy will be something they'll try and decide, but what we've always heard from the drivers, try and go as late as possible. Shorter stop, less fuel taken on board, it will be beneficial for your race. And here we are, McDade and Story side by side, beneficiaries across the line, and here comes Tyler Reed to join in.
Yeah, we see McDade on the outside of Jeremy Story. Story's been able to make his car a little bit wide there in turn number one as we ride on board now with Tyler Reed. Like I mentioned, his first time up in the battle here tonight with that top five in the GT field, just behind Jeremy Story and Pete McDade, trying to work his way forward. He's doing a nice job in the early portions of this lap, but McDade all over the rear end of Jeremy Story here. We'll see if McDade can make the pass potentially as they work their way back towards the NASCAR oval. And Tyler Reed closing the gap once again, just ahead of them there out of that shot. You could see Tanner Masters and Skylar Vickroy. Those drivers doing a phenomenal job as well. Second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. All pretty darn close to each other right now in the GT field. That was a cool shot where we could see some of the cars towards the tail of the GT field working their way through the road course as the 72 and Tanner Masters works his way on the NASCAR oval. And up towards the front once again, just a quick look at the tower. 0.4 of a second separating Guillemette and Smotherman, but this battle is heating up here with Skylar Vickroy and Tanner Masters, as Masters going to try to take that position here on this lap.
He absolutely is. Will he get the chance to, though? Because plenty of work to be done with this race. Will they have time for it? And we're going to see the same thing. Nope, stop at the lead is going to be exactly the same for your Elijah's. Will we see Story McDade doing anything that's still so... Oh, pitting for Story. He's decided to butt out of this conversation early and hit pit road. So he's in the window. An earlier choice of a stop here, possibly to get himself out of the battle, clean air.
That is definitely a possibility. He knows that his competitors do have to come down to pit road to get some fuel to finish off this event. So Jeremy Story potentially, like you mentioned, looking for an opportunity to get some clean air, just do his thing out there. He's been very quick on the racetrack thus far, so an opportunity maybe to get out of those battles could pay off here for Jeremy Story. We'll keep an eye on him throughout the event, see what he can do once he gets back onto the racetrack as we finish up his pit stop here. It's 23.2 seconds in the box for Jeremy Story. Just gonna have to make sure he gets a great exit and re-entry onto the racetrack, as Guillemette and Smotherman just went by him there, the overall race leaders. Oh no, he goes around on pit exit. That's exactly what you don't want to do. A very tough pit exit here at Daytona. Lots of opportunity to go around. He backs it into the wall. So it just went from bad to worse for Jeremy Story as he's taking a 25-point turn to get his car back moving in the right direction.
Unfortunate there for Story. Good early strategy, but unfortunately pit exit decided to defeat him.
His opportunity to turn that car around just reminded me of the moment in the Austin Powers movies where he was stuck and just kept backing up, going forward, backing up, turning it. Just an inch every time. Just so unfortunate there, as we do see a couple cars coming down. Skylar Vickroy, Tanner Masters, Pete McDade, and Tyler Reed all coming down as well. We'll see if they're able to exit pit road without any drama for them, especially knowing that their competitor Jeremy Story is likely now going to pay the price for that incident.
Absolutely will, and that will really cost him in terms of his running order. As we're seeing more guys in pit road. McDade on pit road, as is Masters, as is Vickroy, as is Utzin. All of our top GT cars, maybe they can only make it about this distance. We've got about 34 minutes remaining. This is shy of halfway. I don't think they can go the whole distance in this one.
Yeah, that's definitely going to come into question here. If these drivers cannot make it to the end from this point, when are they going to come back down? So obviously all the GTs coming down. I think you're right, Rachel. I don't think they can make it much further than this, which definitely opens the door to another pit stop, as Tanner Masters tried to be sneaky there to get by Skylar Vickroy, not able to do it. It looks like his car almost stepped out on him. Thought better of it, just decided to get in line. But the battle about to heat up once again in GT, as Vickroy and Masters back out on the racetrack with McDade just behind them.
They are indeed a great place for this one to be duking it out here for them. As at the sharp end, a little GT traffic in the way of Guillemette, as Smotherman behind him entering onto the road. Oh, the NASCAR portion trapped behind that GT car, the 343. That's your leader, Thomas Utzin, for the GT field. They get through, but Smotherman doesn't seem to take much advantage of this one, Robert.
Yeah, it didn't look like he was able to take advantage of that too much. Both drivers got caught behind the Utzin machine, but Smotherman gonna look to take a little bit of the draft from Tyler Guillemette here. We'll see if he can take advantage of it. He hasn't been as good through the bus stop here tonight as Tyler Guillemette has. Guillemette seems to be getting about 0.4 of a second or so each and every time through that bus stop over the Matt Smotherman machine. Actually, Smotherman looks to be closing the gap a little bit here, might be able to get side by side with Tyler Guillemette. Gonna take a bit of advantage here of that draft heading towards turn number 1. We may get a side by side here. Smotherman takes to the inside of Tyler Guillemette. Guillemette up top, Smotherman down on the inside. Matt Smotherman takes the lead. Looks like Guillemette gave it to him here. Maybe some sort of fuel saving strategy here. Get behind the Smotherman machine and just ride for now.
Is now really the time you want to race? About halfway through a race with fuel a major factor? Do you want to bother about racing the guy when you've got half an hour to get there? If you can drive off him and save behind him? I wouldn't.
No, that's exactly it. Just, as Josh O'Connor has issues exiting pit road as well, just drives it into the outside wall. Again, like I mentioned, very tough pit exit here. The windy exit for this pit, and very, very tight. That gives a lot of opportunity for disaster.
Bottling up the 84 of Reeve there, who was right behind him. So Andrew Reeve not particularly happy getting held up there.
No, definitely not. Reeve not too pleased with O'Connor getting into the outside wall on exit of the pit road, as we do see Pete McDade trying to hold off Hunter Reeve at this point. Reeve just behind the Pete McDade machine, now going to take advantage of the draft and get by the GT car of McDade. McDade just going to get back in line now.
Hopefully, if we get a chance to, we'll try and get a chat really quickly with Tyler Reed. Tyler, do we have a copy?
Yeah. How's it going?
Hey, Tyler Reed, doing fantastic. How are you doing in the race car? As you woof the corner there to the bus stop. I do apologize. Sorry for distracted driving. It does happen. How's the race going for you so far tonight?
It's going pretty good. Traffic's been pretty nice. Been trying to follow old Pete McDade up there ahead of me, but going to try to catch back up to him after that mistake. Might make it a little bit harder. But it's been pretty good.
Well, these things will happen, of course. Things go pretty well for you whilst you're driving here, and you've got to have a quiet bit of track. Anything big coming up for Operation Motorsport we should pay attention to?
Oh, absolutely. We got a couple things going on after this season. We should be announcing that in the end of January. We also have a few participants that'll be joining the CrowdStrike league over on ACC starting next weekend. So really looking forward to that. A little bit different platform for us, but you know, at least we'll get out there and start turning some laps with some good partners, Operation Motorsports, being CrowdStrike. So.
Well, we look forward to seeing what you guys get up to in, of course, the lofty goal of supporting wounded and medically retired veterans of military service. Tyler, best of luck with how things are going so far. Seem to be in a good spot for now. Let's see where you can bring it home.
I appreciate it, Rachel.
Always great talking to Tyler Reed there, coming out. He's currently running the 47 car, running overall in 5th place, Robert, so pretty good right now. It's going to be 3rd place podium for the open category, so good stay there.
Yeah, absolutely. Great run here early on. Currently 5th in the GT class, like you mentioned. Has a nice buffer ahead and behind, so not really too much to worry about when it comes to battling for position, which is sometimes a little bit more comfortable for the driver when they know they don't have to deal with too much stress out there on the racetrack. But watching the battle here for the overall lead, Smotherman 7/10, now 8/10 of a second ahead of Tyler Guillemette. These drivers still have not hit pit road, of course, so we'll see what happens if they do come down in the next couple of minutes, set themselves up for a nice run to the finish. I would expect Guillemette to have another strong run towards Smotherman once they do get through that pit cycle, as I believe he might just be trying to save a little bit here and have a shorter visit to pit road, less fuel to take on board of that number 5 machine of Guillemette.
Very much so, as through they'll come. Smotherman, decent gap, but nothing crazy. Oatson behind them, been a quiet race for him.
Yeah, he has
really just been on his own.
He hasn't really had much to do so far. He had to come down pit road, leave pit road, and just continue doing what he's doing. Leads by about 11.5 seconds over Skylar Vickroy in class. So all he really has to do is manage the lap traffic that he's working his way through and just try to avoid spinning his car out by getting off the racetrack or getting too comfortable, which can always be a bit of a double-edged sword for these drivers when you don't have too much to worry about. But great run here so far for Ootson, and looks like he's well on his way towards another victory here. You see his car now riding on board with the GT3 leader, Thomas Ootson. He's got nothing out front, and I don't think he has anything out back either. So just out here turning laps at this point. Just looks like a practice session for Thomas Ootson.
Sometimes those are the best races for you, but the least fun to actually enjoy.
Absolutely.
Now, either way, a good running from these guys, so we'll have to see how they can do it further. But as it goes, it's going to be managing to get this one to its concluding point. We've got 26 minutes on the clock still. Smotherman leading from Guillemette. The gap is not super tight, but it's not super close for those two. 2nd place in the GT field, Skylar Vickroy. Vickroy's been running most of this season on his own in 2nd place. Masters is leading for your beneficiaries there in 3rd overall for GT, with McDade in 4th and 2nd for the beneficiaries. And we said Reed there in 3rd for the opens, and it's Story behind him. Now, Story's gap is pretty decent to Tyler Reed, so our GT field seem to have spread themselves out well and truly here.
Yeah, we went from all the drivers kind of being on top of each other with the exception of Ootson on that initial run. Now each of the drivers has separated, built some gaps around them where they can just kind of drive and do their thing at this point. We may see them close back up when the field does have to come down pit road for that final pit stop, because of course we've discovered that it doesn't appear that they can actually make it to the end of this race on their current fuel tank. So another opportunity still to come for these drivers to duke it out for position, but as of right now they can just get comfortable, run some laps, and just try to keep their cars clean at this point.
I promised we wouldn't disturb him further, but I will disturb him one final time. Tyler Reed, so we don't look idiots for the interviews later, do you have to stop again?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I was saying, just so we don't look like idiots at the end of this thing, do you have to stop a 2nd time, or is this a one stop?
Yes, we should have one more stop after this.
Wonderful, we predicted it correctly. We won't look like idiots. Thank you very much, Tyler Reed. Best of luck racing. It's good having him here in the booth available to us to chat to when we need to, but we will not interrupt his race much further. I know he has to concentrate. We'll do our spotlight though, as we are just past halfway, and it is your man in 2nd place right now, Tyler Guillemette. So Tyler served in the US Navy from January 2010 till October 2020, so a 10-year time period there. He was a nuclear machinist mate, responsible for maintaining and operating the 2 nuclear reactors on aircraft carriers that he served aboard. He was lucky enough to only deploy once in 2015 when they were supporting Operation Enduring Freedom. One special thing about this deployment for him was that they were circumnavigating the globe, departing from Virginia and ending in California. His role was tough physically and mentally, and whilst he didn't lose anyone to combat, many sailors claimed their own lives, including a mentor and close friend. And that loss is something he struggles with to this day. He found Operation Motorsport shortly after exiting the service for the iRacing Remembrance in 2020. His journey began, of course, with volunteering for the organisation in July of 2022 and converted over to the beneficiary side. During his time with the organisation, he's found a purpose in life again. He's found a new family, and outside of racing, he runs a small business and raises 2 amazing boys. He also spends time with his dog, his cat, and 5 note ropes. He's also going for the lead currently as we look back on screen here, but I think he just about technically has it, but Matt Smotherman's like, I don't think so. You can't have it. But he's looking for the inside line here. Will he find an opening? Oh, not quite, but he's making it interesting here, Robert.
Definitely making it interesting here, and I don't know if that's Smotherman's actual voice or not, but sounds like a cool one either way, as Guillemette taking a look to the inside of Matt Smotherman. Smotherman holding on to that spot. Guillemette just doing everything he can here to try to get that spot back without racing too hard, because you don't want to mess up your car here with just 23 minutes to go. Late stages of this one. It's still a long way to go, but a short time to get there for these drivers.
Also, can categorically say that is not Matt Smotherman's voice. He does not sound like a French person with brain damage, I promise.
It does sound like a fantastic voice, though. So if that is anybody's voice out there, you've got a nice one. As we ride on board here with, I believe we're on board here with Rodney Campbell as he tries to close that gap in on Connor Parise. Parise currently holding on to position number 5 as Campbell finds himself 6th in class here overall. So we'll see what he can do, as of course these drivers still have that pit stop to come, which I believe should be coming up very shortly, and we may see those GTs coming down as well and try to set themselves up with just enough time to make a couple passes and not have to take too much fuel on board the machine.
Tyler Guillemette hitting pit road here, so this might be their second and final stop for this one. Not sure in terms of our GT cars. Although I don't think we've seen many of them actually on pit road themselves for the prototype field, so this might be their first. It might be these guys can make it the whole way. Yeah, I think this is the first stop for him, so yeah, this is them making it 1-1 stop, 2 for GT, but 1 for the prototype. So Guillemette hits pit road first here. This is where strategy diverges from Matt Smotherman, and Smotherman finds himself Ronery out there on the racetrack, as Matt Wallace stays out as well. Reeve is on pit road. Okay, we're seeing some bit of strategy coming for me here. Campbell and Co, we see no one hit pit road. They are not going for it, but we'll see what Guillemette's exiting pit road now. Get himself going again.
Yeah, early strategy here for these drivers, seeing if this could be the difference maker for them as they're trying to chase down position. Looks like Guillemette going to exit pit road in that 3rd position. We'll see if he gets passed once again. And of course, these drivers having to navigate that tough pit road exit as well. We saw some issues in the GT class. Hopefully in the LMP class, these drivers are able to make it through without too much of an issue, as we do await Matt Smotherman and Martin Wallace to come down pit road. I would expect them down possibly here either this lap or next, as they don't want to stray too far away from the strategy that Tyler Guillemette and others have deployed here with just 20 minutes to go.
We don't know at all what's going to happen with those guys, but I'm sure they'll make it entertaining for us regardless. Here comes some of the others now as we get this one running around. Will we see a move? Wallace stays out, okay. And we also saw Smotherman stay out as well, so we're starting to see definitely a divide here. Some of these guys have gone for it, some of them have chosen not to. Hudson still leading the Airfield GT with Vic Roy in 2nd, Masters 3rd, McDade 4th, Reed in 5th with Story in 6th, Hicks 7th, 8th for Brian Knight, Matt Ayots is in 9th with Dave Bell in 10th, 11th is Josh Connor with Andrew Reeve in 12th, I think it is, 13th for Andrew Reeve, who has retired. Greg Meismer as well, Rick Hastert, and Gabriel Albano, all retirees.
Right on board here with Connor Parisi. You see Rodney Campbell just behind him. Campbell nearly ended up into the rear end of Connor Parisi there. So nearly some damage for those drivers as they duke it out for position number 4 in class here. A recovery by Campbell to work his way back to 5th after early incident for him sent him sideways, and now just trying to get whatever he can back position wise on the racetrack. Still expecting Smotherman and Wallace to come back down as well as the entirety of that GT field. So watch for pit road to be busy here in the next couple of minutes for GT class. And I think Smotherman and Wallace just trying to run this tank out as far as they possibly can, as you see Parisi getting into a little bit of lap traffic there with a GT car ahead of him here. Now Matt Smotherman trying to work his way forward. Looks like he's going to stay on the racetrack once again.
Appears to be what we're going to see from Matt, though. He's going for a different strategy to everybody else. He always seems to be on a slightly different wavelength, so we'll see what he can come up with towards the end of this. But heavily in traffic, this might be a good time to go for pit road, actually, because he seems to be definitely mired down here in GT traffic, and we have discovered they aren't as fast at the straights.
Yeah, definitely not as quick as we see Tyler Gilmet there. I believe he just went around Thomas Utzon, our leader there in GT3, is still, like I mentioned, waiting for the final stop from that GT field. Doesn't look like it's going to come quite yet as we ride on board once again with Tyler Gilmet. The GT car looked to the outside, not able to get there quite yet, as this is not what you want to see as Tyler Gilmet, a blinking GT car up ahead of him here, has to make an evasive maneuver. That's definitely a scary moment behind the wheel of the Tyler Gilmet machine.
Yeah, I can't see it being particularly enjoyable having to worry about where that opponent's going to appear from, as I've been in that position, I think, myself, as many of us have. It is horrifying because you have no idea where they're going to appear, and all of a sudden they'll be in the cockpit of your car, and you'll be glad you wore the brown fire suit, even though they somehow reappear outside of it again later. It's one of those weird experiences of iRacing you really have to be there to experience. Parisi back in 5th place here. He's dealing with Rodney Campbell ahead of him. Got a bit of a fight in our hands as they exit 8 onto the oval. We're looking at one of the GT cars there in the banking. It's Josh O'Connor, I think, here, running down in overall 18th in the race. About 12th or 10th, sorry, in your GT field. This is our closest battle on the track between himself there and Dave Bell just ahead. Robert?
Yeah, Dave Bell just ahead in position number 9. O'Connor in that 10th spot. These drivers duking it out. Of course, they're not battling for the lead in class, but still every position does matter when it comes to the points. So you want to gain as many spots as you possibly can. And of course, just for your pride and bragging rights as well, as we do see Martin Wallace down pit road. He's come in for his pit stop. Looks like Gilmet going to be able to get by him. And there he goes. Tyler Gilmet gets by the Martin Wallace machine. Wallace now falls back to 3rd in class. We're going to see how this pays off for Matt Smotherman, as the gap between Wallace and Gilmet was about 30 seconds when Wallace did come down pit road. The gap now between Smotherman and Gilmet about 35 seconds. So I think Smotherman might have a bit of an advantage when he does come down pit road. He's going to have to spend less time there as well, taking less fuel on board of that number 23 machine. But I have to think that his tank is getting pretty dry at this point. 45 minutes in, 15 minutes to go, and Matt Smotherman has not yet hit pit road. Could this be the lap that the overall race leader comes down and tries to play his strategy game? We'll see as he comes around this time. And yes, here he comes, Matt Smotherman, heading pit side for his one and only stop. And he's going to lock it down, get down to pit road speed, and he's headed for his pit box.
Yeah, certainly is getting that pit stop done and dusted here. 50 minutes to go in this race. Wow, this one has blown by. Normally the 30-minute races feel twice as long as this one, but this is absolutely vanishing. We've had a very busy race here for this 8th and final round. Great to see these guys putting on the action for the final round of the year. Martin Wallace there in second. He's still on the racetrack. He's not pitted yet. We expect him likely this time by, I think. Robert, we've got to see him come here.
So Wallace did pit last time by, and actually Gilmet currently holding on to that second spot. I'd expect the tower to update this time, and Tyler Gilmet going to get very close here to Matt Smotherman on exit. Smotherman just now coming off of pit road, and here comes Tyler Gilmet. You can see Smotherman out the windshield here of the Gilmet machine. He's going to need to absolutely nail this lap and close that gap as he's blinking the lights, letting Matt know that he's there and he's ready to duke it out for the race win. We'll see if Tyler Gilmet can close that gap, but looks like Tanner Masters and Pete McDade having a battle heating up here in the GT class. Less than a second separating those drivers as McDade swerving all over the racetrack, trying to find the line to get by Tanner Masters in that 72 machine. He's going to take a dive to the inside. We'll see if McDade gets it this time. I believe he will, as Pete McDade going to get by. Actually, they're going to stay side by side. Tanner Masters on the left, Pete McDade on the right in that red machine. These drivers duking it out here. Masters going to win out on that position and hold on to position number 3 in GT3. And of course, they do still have that pit stop to come with 13 minutes to go. I would expect them to come down pit road soon to leave them an opportunity still to make those passes, gain those positions, as we do see, I believe that to be Jeremy Story. Yes, that is Jeremy Story coming off pit road. He had issues exiting last time, taking it a little bit more patient on exit this time.
Yeah, that'd be appearing to what he's doing this time. I think a bit more careful is what he needs to make sure he comes home from this race in one piece.
Yeah, definitely don't want to repeat the incident he had earlier. Took himself out of a fantastic run and has fallen back towards the tail of that top 10 as we see Tyler Gilmet closing the gap here on Matt Smotherman. 1.6 seconds separate the overall leaders. Now Smotherman out front as he has been for the last little while here. 1.7 seconds. Tyler Gilmet currently chasing him down. We'll see if Gilmet can get close enough to get some draft on that NASCAR oval, but again, Smotherman very, very strong through this portion of the racetrack and down into the bus stop. So Gilmet gonna have to absolutely nail this lap if he wants to close that gap and set himself up here with just 12 minutes to go. The opportunities starting to fade away here if you don't close the gap right now.
Yeah, it really is, as Smotherman and Gilmet gonna have to work this on. The gap's a bit too big there. They're outside draft range. That makes all the difference here, Robert. But in our GT field, though, Masters very close here with McDade, I think it is. Just behind him, it is. That's gonna be our next, our biggest, closest fight right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The fight still on here for third in the GT class. Pete McDade looks like he sent it a little bit deeper there just behind Tanner Masters. Masters holding on to position number 3. McDade going to get a bit of draft here on the NASCAR oval. We'll see what he's able to do. Maybe set himself up for a late dive into the bus stop to get by the Tanner Masters machine. As the clock is starting to tick down, the drivers are going to get a little bit riskier with their moves, try to do something that pays off here. McDade coming up to the rear end of Tanner Masters. They're coming up on another car just ahead of them there. That is not going to be a battle for position, but McDade going to use it as a pick. Goes to the outside of Tanner Masters. Nearly collide as they go by the lap car. Masters on the inside, McDade on the outside. Masters swerving a little bit, maybe to send a message to Pete McDade here, but McDade gonna have the advantage at the line, but I believe Masters gonna have an advantage here into turn number 1. We'll see what they do here as McDade dives it in. Great entry by McDade, but Tanner Masters gonna stick with it on the inside move. Pete McDade to third, Tanner Masters back to fourth with just about 10 minutes to go.
Ooh, this one's heating up for us right now as we have a great run in this one to the first of the horseshoes right now at Daytona. And it's going to be McDade ahead here of Masters, but they're not done yet. Two beneficiary drivers putting on a stage show for us.
Absolutely phenomenal battle these drivers have had in McDade and Masters. McDade in the third spot right now. Tanner Masters going to absolutely do whatever he can to get that spot back. He's a very, very strong competitor here tonight, and these drivers have all done a phenomenal job. 10 minutes to go now as the clock ticks over, and these drivers know that it's getting close to the checkered flag, and you have to do absolutely everything you possibly can to get any positions available on the racetrack. Maximize your points here tonight. Of course, this is the season finale, so you want to end this one on a high as we're back on board with Tyler Gilmet. He's trying to close that gap on Matt Smotherman. Smotherman about a second and a half ahead of him here, 1.6 seconds, as Gilmet going to start diving it further and further into these corners, just trying to do whatever he possibly can to close that gap on Matt Smotherman and contend for this race win.
Absolutely are, of course, and really pushing this one harder as Smotherman and Guillemette really going to work for this. Well, the gap's 1.3, 1.2 is coming down live. You can see there on your screen, 1.5, 1.6 in the braking zone. It's not going to be enough. He needs to be at least about 0.8 of a second closer to even have a real good effect of the draft here. And never mind, functional draft needs to be about half a second back for it to be really worth anything. So they're going to have a lot of work cut out for them still to kind of get anywhere with this.
That's exactly it. You want to be about a half a second back from the driver ahead of you to fully take advantage of that draft. And really at this point, Smotherman not giving off much draft, if any at all, to Tyler Gilmet as they're going to work towards the bus stop here. The one advantage that Gilmet might have is they're coming up to some lap traffic. So if Smotherman catches them in a bad position, this could be an opportunity for Tyler Gilmet to really close that gap on them. And he may be able to take advantage as well of their draft and just play the lanes to close in on the Matt Smotherman machine.
Absolutely could in this race. We'll have to see if he can pull that one off. Smotherman, though, needs to be hitting traffic if Guillemette wants to have anything happen.
That's exactly it. Smotherman clears a bit of the lap traffic, just trying to do whatever he can to break that draft from Tyler Gilmet. Gilmet getting closer, though, about 1 second separating those drivers as we have a GT go way off ahead of the overall leaders. Not sure who that was, but that turn didn't look too good. Matt Smotherman in a bit of a pickle here as Tyler Gilmet going to try to cycle his way through. This could be the opportunity that Tyler Gilmet's looking for, but he's going to need to make quick work of the Joshua O'Connor machine ahead of him here. As you can see, Matt Smotherman getting bigger and bigger in that front windshield of Tyler Gilmet. 1 second separating them now. He's going to need a little bit more lap traffic to come into play here if he wants to catch the Matt Smotherman machine. 1 second as they work their way back onto the NASCAR oval.
Yeah, it really does there, and that's going to have to be played out as they can on the racetrack here. Looking down into our, oh, there he goes. Is this what he needed? A lot of time still to play here. He's closer. He's about 1 second away. This might not be enough, I don't think, Robert. Just not going to be yet, unless that GT car bottles in, which it is doing. It absolutely is doing. He's always using it for a little bit of draft, but it's not going to be enough. Here we go, inside the 1 second marker. This is what he needs. Now, we have Guillemette has the draft for the GT car. This will see Slingshot him closer to Smotherman, who will no longer have the draft. He's in the clean air there. This could be big. This could be what Guillemette needed here. 6 minutes to go.
This is exactly what Tyler Gilmet needed. What he really needed was that story machine to get up and out of the way, but here he is. There's Matt Smotherman just 0.2 of a second ahead of him here. Tyler Gilmet sends it deep. Not able to get there on the Matt Smotherman machine. Jeremy Story still ahead of him here out on the racetrack. I think they made a little bit of contact there. Tyler Gilmet not going to be too pleased with the GT car staying in the way of the battle for the overall race lead. What he gained was pretty much just lost right there, trying to cycle around that Jeremy Story machine. And that's going to be the story that we're going to have to follow here with 5 minutes to go. Tyler Gilmet, 0.8 of a second behind Matt Smotherman. And Gilmet did such a fantastic job on that last lap. Now going to have to do that work all over again as Smotherman extending the lead once again back to a second ahead of Tyler Gilmet with just 5 minutes to go.
Absolutely is pushing it here as they come through now. We'll see whether or not they can get themselves to a good fighting position here as Vicroy getting on the way for GT car. McDade a little bit too far back though. Campbell up to a 4th spot.
Yeah, great drive here by Campbell, able to work his way back forward after the early incident that we had for that machine. As we see Smotherman once again 0.8 of a second ahead of Tyler Guillemette. And for that GT class, they have not been back down pit road. So gotta wonder if maybe they were able to save enough fuel on board those machines to make it to the conclusion of this race. I wouldn't expect a final pit stop with less than 4 minutes to go, but you never know what strategy those drivers are working with tonight. Half a second the gap. Guillemette with a deep dive into turn number 1. We'll see if he can use this to his advantage here. Smotherman up ahead of Guillemette. Guillemette trying to close that gap here. You know he wants this victory. He is all over the back end now. Well, not quite all over, but just about there. Half a second separating these two, well within drafting distance as we hop back on board with Tyler Guillemette, watching him close that gap, and Matt Smotherman getting bigger and bigger and bigger in that windshield with 4 minutes remaining in this event.
Absolutely is. Will he be able to do this one? It's really in there. He's inside that 1 second bracket. This time on the NASCAR straight here into 1 and 2. This could be what he needs, Robert. This could be close enough. Will it be enough? Let's see what the gap is. What's the delta between these two here? We'll go on board with Guillemette. We'll see if we can see what it's looking to be. Are we going to see how close he is? This is where he needs to be. 0.6 seconds. This is exactly the window he needs to be in. He's approaching our half-second border. This could be a good run through the bus stop here. This will be everything for Tyler Guillemette.
Absolutely everything. Is a great run through the entry to the bus stop. Looks like he had a better bus stop. He's going to close that gap here. 0.3 of a second now behind Matt Smotherman. I believe we're setting up here for a side-by-side battle into turn number 1. Is Guillemette now below 0.2 of a second back. Here he comes. Tyler Guillemette in car number 5 makes a little bit of rear-end contact with Matt Smotherman. I do believe they're side-by-side coming to the line. That's Smotherman on the inside. Guillemette up on the high side. 3 minutes remaining in this one. We'll see who wins out into turn number 1 as we see Guillemette go deep, not able to get there. Goes for the crossover. Tyler Guillemette to the lead.
What a beautiful move there. Tyler Guillemette set him up. He knew he was going to go wide. I think Smotherman thought he had to go deep to defend against a run around the outside, but it wasn't an outside run. It was the crossover classic. Nicely done there. Lovely move. This could be the move of the race.
That absolutely is the move of the race thus far, but still 2.5 to go. You know Smotherman's going to do whatever he can to try to close that gap up and take that top spot back. These two have duked it out all season long, and again, this is the home track of Tyler Guillemette. And you got to remember, last week Matt Smotherman said that he was going to take the victory over Guillemette, so a bit of bragging rights on the line for these drivers as well. 0.7 of a second separating the two of them here as they work their way down to the back straightaway, headed for the bus stop once again with less than 2 minutes remaining. Intensity about to skyrocket here. Smotherman knows he's running out of time to make something happen.
Into Skyrocket is absolutely not slowed down here so far today. Woo! This is going to be big. Tyler Guillemette having a good gap here over Smotherman. Can he win his home track? Smotherman, he wants to try and take that away from him. Martin Wallace, he's further back, and there's a GT car deciding to mow the grass at the bus stop, but that's okay. Oh, wow. This thing is getting exciting. Tyler Reed still 4th, by the way, for your GT cars. Utzon miles away. Big Croy miles away. McDade miles away. The GT cars went from being the most exciting thing on the racetrack to the most boring now. As here it is between two pro beneficiaries here in these final 2 minutes. Robert, there's lap traffic ahead of them. It's Guillemette leading Smotherman. What happens?
Yeah, Guillemette going to have to make very quick work of this lap traffic. Just one car ahead of him currently on the racetrack. I'd expect those headlights to get blinking here momentarily. Let the car know that he's coming, and it looks like he's going to move up and out of the way. Let Tyler Guillemette go through. Smotherman in the mirror just got much bigger. Looks like he took a late dive into the corner, half a second separating the two of them here. Gilmet gonna want to try to extend this here. Is Smotherman gonna pick up that draft? We're gonna set up for another battle here, less than half a second separating the two of them. So draft definitely going to come into play as we're gonna hop on board with Matt Smotherman and see what he can do to close that gap on Tyler Gilmet.
What will he do? Is it going to be close enough? He needs to have a great run through the bus stop, just like last time. The bus stops are set up here for a run to the line. Will Matt Smotherman have what it takes? Because this should be checkered flag, I think. One lap. White flag. We'll have white flag this time by. This will be white flag. Ooh,
one lap
close
to go, Rachel. What's going to happen here? Do you want to be leading at the white flag here? Much like the races we see on the NASCAR oval, not necessarily the spot you want to be. Gilmet trying to break that draft as Smotherman absolutely snaking right with him here as Smotherman gets too low.
I'm not sure what we're seeing. I think that was the checkered flag. No, that was the run to the line. And he held it off. The draft breaking was extreme. I knew it was the checkered flag lap there. But wow, Gilmet beats him out to the line as this is the run down here. Racing GT lead is going to be Hudson coming to the bus stop here. A lot of traffic around him, behind him, in front of him, and beside him, as that was going to be O'Connor and going to be Bell down there as well. But through he'll come. Thomas Hudson, the quietest race of the entire field, just ran laps for an hour, and here he comes out of NASCAR 4 for a final run down here to the line.
Yeah, nice quiet night for Thomas Utzen. Maybe just a practice session for him as he's going to take the checkered flag. Thomas Utzen, your GT3 winner here tonight after a dominating performance by that machine.
Certainly was. Vickery coming home in second place there. McDade in third. GT Field coming across the line for us now as they come to that final NASCAR bend. Put themselves in a position here for a run. All of them coming through, long ways between them all.
So we see Pete McDade. He's going to come across, take third in class in the GT3 field. There's Tyler Reed. We had a chance to talk to him throughout the event. Brings it home fourth. Great run by the 47 machine as Tanner Masters gonna round out the top five as we just wait for the last few cars to come across. What a great race we had here today.
Absolutely phenomenal racing here at Daytona. And we are, as the last of our major runners come through the line, not that nobody isn't a major runner, but oh, hang on, these guys all racing? I'm not sure if this is racing or this is cool down. I think this is cool down. Yeah, this is cool down. This is formation lap cool down here for the final end of the race. We'll try and get the camera on them here. Look at our race leaders. Look at Gilmet and Co. And behind them, we have a 4-wide run towards the line for those guys. Try and get that on the screen for you here. 4-wide run through the final corner. Some of the GT cars are forming up as well behind them. But this is it. This is the honor of racing here in Operation eMotorsport Series. Season 7 is in the books here at Daytona. And they're going to come to the line. They broke up this with the 4-wide. They're going to try and go for it again. Come on, boys. Get back in order. Form up again. Are they trying to work out what formation to use this time as the proto goes zooming through? Okay, now they're all coming in. Okay, we'll be back with you in just a moment with your post-race interviews and results. Do not go anywhere.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Podium Esports here and the Operation eMotorsport iRacing Series Season 7's conclusion random rate here at Daytona International Speedway, and your post-race results are as follows. New England's Tyler Guillemette for the Pro Bands comes home with a win, with Matt Smotherman in second, and third for the Pro Bands is Hunter Reeve. For the pros, it's Martin Wallace with Conor Parisi and Marty Campbell. Behind them, it's Scott Andrews, it is Greg Meismer and Gabriel Albano. For your GT field, Thomas Utzon for the Open, with Skylar Fitzroy in second for them, with Tyler Reed in third place for the Open. The beneficiary winner is going to be third place overall, but it's going to be Pete McDade for the win there. Tanner Masters and John Hicks in third for those guys. Behind them is Jeremy Story, Joshua O'Connor, Matty Oak for Open, Dave Bell, Brian Knight, Elliot Whitfield, Andrew Reeve, and Rick Haslett. You know what? We're down for a free-for-all again, so let's just kind of make sure they're not talking to each other when we do this. As we bring Matt Smotherman up, we'll bring Tyler into the ready room, so we know he's not going to start yelling when we bring him onto the broadcast. And we're going to do the three-way again, because this was fun last time. And I believe a certain Smotherman, last time out, made a prediction about the race result here at Tyler Guillemette's home track. What was that again, Matt?
I did. Prediction is a really strong word.
It is, isn't it? It is.
I said I was going to make my car as wide as possible, and apparently it was not wide enough because that was a hell of a race from Tyler, with Tyler, and from Tyler, and I just didn't have it. I didn't have it. Tyler did.
No, of course, no matter how wide it is, looks like Tyler's was wider. Tyler, Daytona's your home track, and to finish off season 8.
I am over the moon right now. Getting the win is awesome, but the race me and Matt had was incredible. It was like 0.12 to the line. Like, I'm trying not to get emotional here because it was that good.
Yeah.
It certainly looked great from where we were watching it. Notice you had a distinctly different pit strategy to Matt. What was that? Yeah,
I saw we were catching some traffic, and he had got some laps of fuel saving. I had got some, so I decided to dive in case we caught the traffic, because it was pretty clear behind me, and almost bit me. Luckily, we hit some traffic later on. I was able to close the almost 3-second gap that Matt had when he pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it ended up working, I think, for you in the end there. Matt went a bit later, but it seemed as though you took the lead about the midway through this race, but you held it right up until the very end there. Was the intent just to kind of keep this one locked up and stay wide, or?
My goal at the very beginning, when qualifying didn't go exactly the way that I hoped that it would, and kind of put me in a better position, was mainly just to kind of take my opportunities as they came, let other people in front of me hopefully make mistakes, and just save fuel as much as I could, and maybe like make an advantage, like take advantage of the pits. Ended up actually just right behind Tyler by the time we ended up getting to the pits, but it was the goal that very quickly turned into just try not to make mistakes, because there are places where you can make mistakes, and those mistakes, especially because of the straights that we have, they just add up so much. You make one small mistake going into the bus stop, take it just a little bit less ideally than possible, than you should, and then Tyler's right behind you, and he takes it better than you did, and then you guys have this really long straight to really contemplate the mistake you just made.
Now, we've been a little bit quiet with Hunter Reeve, who came home in third today. Hunter, a little bit quieter for you on the racetrack. You were back there in kind of the mid-pack of this one, but what was it like amongst the majority of the prototype field for this? Sorry.
It was a fun race. I was just trying to keep it on the island and then get enough points. Obviously, I never was going to catch Tyler and Matt, so it was a battle for P3 with Greg. So that was just kind of like my priority, is just keep it clean, try and finish in a decent spot.
So the real question is, amongst all of you, who finished where?
I think Tyler just took the whole season with that.
It might have been enough, because I think I got probe and pole. And I got fastest lap, and then maximize points with the win. I don't know. It's going to be tight when we drop the 2 races.
We will have to find out from Tyler Reed for this one, to find out exactly who finished where, because this could have come down to the last second. I know a move with a couple laps to go. You never quite know what is going to happen when. That is...
That's true.
Yeah. That is definitely... We'll let you guys know as soon as we can, of course, with this one. But we'll run down the order here amongst you guys. Winner tonight, Tyler Glumet, we think might have taken the season. Who you got to shout out or thank?
I want to thank Operation Motorsport, all the guys in the league. This was one of the best we've had. Thank you, Podium, for being with us. It's always great. I hope we put on a great show for you guys tonight.
Absolutely did. Yeah, guaranteed. We loved it. It was the busiest of all season. Matt, what about you?
I would really like to thank everyone, honestly, like Tyler, Hunter, everyone in the field for like the amazing races that we've had all season. They've been like some of the best racing, like Tyler said, some of the best racing that we've had in quite a while. To you guys for being here every single week and putting on such a great show with the broadcast, and giving us something to watch after we get done with it. Just kind of like go back and just enjoy you guys' commentary is phenomenal. But also then like to gives people like my family, who that would be the other person people I give a shout out to, like my mom, my dad, my brother, both my brothers actually. They like text me after the races and stuff like that to like kind of follow up and like congratulate me and stuff and cheer me on and everything like that, because they're watching these broadcasts as well. So shout out to them for the support. It's like the support that they provided and have provided this whole time. It's been incredible.
That's one of the things we don't necessarily see as often when it comes to sim racing broadcasts. It's not just the racers on track that watch these things. It's not just the viewers at home. It's also the families. It's people getting involved in this from people's lives and taking an active part in what has become, especially since the pandemic, an equally representative sport of sorts, digital sport for these guys to enjoy. So, Matt and Tyler, thank you. Hunter, what about you?
Yeah, I'll just echo what they said. Thank you, Opmo, and thank you to you guys. You guys do such a great job broadcasting what we do, and trying to highlight what Operation Motorsport's all about. And yeah, I think the entire field the champion in my heart. So thanks for everybody for showing up week after week, and Tuesday nights are always fun.
Right here at Operation eMotorsport here at Daytona, and of course, thank you to the series partners of Operation eMotorsport, iRacing League, iRacing, and the USO of North Carolina. For Jason Leach, Daisel Loader, Tyler Reed, and the entire Operation Motorsport team. For Ryan Bauer at Podium eSport, camera builder Dougie Beard, our producer DJ Lion, Cameron Overton on social media, my colleague tonight, of course, Robert Hill. I'm your host, Rachel Wyford. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of the Operation eMotorsport League, and we wish you a good night.